get started here in about 8 minutes. So if you want to start making your way to your seats, all the fun and festivities, fantastic times together of fellowship and frivolity will commence shortly. Glad all you guys are here today.
Good morning. Good morning. You can do better than that. Good morning. Before we begin, I would ask you to do me one favor. You know those little things that we carry strapped to our pockets and our purses and this kind of thing? Would you please put them on vibrate or silence, or you can actually turn them off. I'm Charles Richardson. I'm the community liaison working out of the President's office, and I gladly welcome you to our 2024 Faculty and Staff Convocation. Now, while this is a convocation, it's really the opening ceremonies for the 2024 MGA Higher Education Olympics. What do you mean, Richardson? I'm glad you asked. The 2024 Olympic Games going on in Paris right now is much like higher education. While the Olympics can boast of having athletes from all over the world, MGA boasts of having scholars all over the Southeast and abroad. There are 32 sports at these Olympic Games with 45 disciplines and 329 events. Last May, we had 5 graduation ceremonies, 5, featuring 6 schools, 18 departments, and more than 700 knights walked across a stage like this. In the 2023 Fall Convocation, we had more than 800 certificates and degrees awarded. We have more than 46,000 graduates of this institution. While most come from Middle Georgia, during the fall commencement, we had people from 24 states, 2 countries, and that's wonderful. Throughout the Summer Olympic history, the United States is the most successful nation in the world, the history of the Summer Olympics, and they've only awarded 2,600 medals. Each of our graduates, with that diploma in hand, like an Olympic medal, has the power to change their life, the lives of their families, and the lives of their communities. Last year, I stood just about right here and said, I want to encourage each of you to reflect and embody our core values: stewardship, engagement, adaptability, and learning as we work together to embark on a new academic year. Nothing has changed about our mission, but there is an intense war going on, and it's a war we have to win. A dangerous 3-headed beast named disinformation, misinformation, and ignorance. Our Knights will develop a shield here at MGA comprised of the skills needed to survive such a battle. A shield that can ward off that dragon. We don't have to teach them what to think, we just need to teach them how to think. We need to arm them with the sword of education so they can slay that 3-headed monster. Whatever discipline we represent, we need to help our Knights delve deeper into this subject and discover their own answers. We can help them to learn to compare and contrast, judge and assess, apprise and consider, skills that will help them survive in all walks of life for the rest of their life. And like any coach, from T-ball to the Olympics, we can help them find their passion and then help them polish it. In the Olympics and other championships, moving the world record needle can take decades. For example, in swimming, Katie Ledecky is the most decorated female swimmer in history. In her first Olympics, a long time ago in 2012, she won gold in the 800 meters freestyle with a time of 8 minutes and 14 seconds and some change. This year's Olympics, she swam the same event. It was 8 minutes, 11 seconds and some change, almost 4 seconds from her 2012 time. But in the world of knowledge, the speed and volume that's being generated boggles the mind. Some social scientists say that we will double our knowledge every 12 hours. In 2017, we doubled our knowledge every year, every 12 hours. That's why we have to see that our Knights adapt to whatever is thrown at them. And that's why adaptability is one of our core values. We must teach our Knights the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And we have to remain adaptable too. I used to have 2 vices. Some would say more, don't talk to my wife. Cars and audio equipment. Truth is, I still have one of them, and I think our president shares that with me. When I had a coach in high school, he had a 1968 beautiful Camaro. I was looking to move up to something with a little more style. Well, not really, because I couldn't afford it. But at the time, I was driving a Honda 160 motorcycle, and I wanted something with 4 wheels and a roof. But of course, I'm a high school junior. I can't afford anything like that. So I asked him, why did he do it? He was a young teacher, just out of college, and he said he looked at it as an investment. He said, if I keep it clean and maintain it, the car's value would rise. And he was right. The median price today for a 56-year-old Camaro is about $25,000. We have students who have decided to make an investment in themselves, that the education they receive here at MGA will pay off big time. I believe that's a smart choice, seeing as how college grads make 86% more than those with just a high school diploma. That said, college can be confusing and confounding. Our nights are coming from a rainbow of family and other personal situations. And as senior nights, we must be their guides and help them through this academic maze, all while adjusting and adapting sometimes almost every day to different forces that are pulling on them and us. But that's why knights wear armor. It is with great pleasure to introduce to you a scholar who has spent a decade leading the MGA Knights in the fight for education and the battle against ignorance, misinformation, and disinformation. Please help me welcome President Chris Blake.
Well, good morning, everyone. I actually find it wonderful to come to Convocation each year, but this year it's going to be hard to top that. Let's give Charles a round of applause for that. That was one of the best illustrations of our values and how they are sustained by the work that we do in this room with our students when they arrive next week. Well, welcome to the new academic year. I am Chris Blake, the president. I'm realizing we have some new members that we're going to talk about in a moment. But I'm aware that today is the 11th time we've had Convocation. It's the 11th time, and we've gathered here. And for those of us who can remember that first occasion, or maybe a few of them over the last few years, it's been a great story and a great transition from 2 institutions that were State College to now Middle Georgia State University, and you gave powerful testimony to that. The word convocation means gathering. It's a Latin word, convocare, it means a gathering, and that's what we're doing. We're gathering together today. At the moment, we're all together, and then we will celebrate, because a gathering should indeed do that. We will have a picnic, and then we will also go into our different areas, our disciplines, our divisions, and we will meet and gather. And then even later today, there's a public groundbreaking for the new cross-country facility. So it's an exciting day, and it's 97 degrees outside, but it's a beautiful temperature. Fred, wherever you are, you got this, you nailed this one. It's a wonderful temperature in here, so thank you. Now, I do remember that I have a clicker. That will help move it on. There we go. So I would... A very, very effective clicker, it would seem. So we are gathered, and we have over 730 full-time faculty and staff, and we've had 52 new faculty and staff who have joined us this year. And I'm particularly proud that you have made Middle Georgia a place where you would like to pursue your career and to offer your services to our students here. What I would like to ask is, if you were not employed at Middle Georgia at our last convocation, so last August, if you've joined us since our last convocation, would you please stand so that we can recognize you? Please stand up and be officially thanked for being part of our family. Thank you. So, there we go. Today I've got a few things I want to talk about, and I'm not going to read every slide out. In fact, that doesn't help. But what I want to do is give a kind of story about what these slides tell us. and what they signify around the mission that you just heard so eloquently expressed by Charles. And these are the 5 areas. And I can say for those of us that were in the room a year ago, when I look at what happened in this past year, it truly has been transformational. So we're going to look at the last year very briefly. We're going to look, as we do each year, at what I call the vital signs, the health vital signs of the whole university, particularly focusing on the students who come to us and also the condition of the institution in terms of finances. And we've got a strobe effect going at the same time. So it's going to be quite the interesting event. After that, I want to talk about our strategy for the year. How about we can invest our time and our talents into the future of the university. And then this theme with these elegant, regal figures on my left and right. What does it mean to be a knight? What does that mean at this point in our history? So let's start. And first of all, what a year. This has been, all of these were in our strategic plan. Every single one of these has been accomplished to a considerable degree. We joined the Peach Belt, and our new AD, Michael Brown, and his team got us there through the excellence of our student athletes. We've been invited to join the Peach Belt. We have got our first cohort in the Doctorate of Public Safety joining us. We have finally, through the efforts of Amanda and her team and the demonstration of the return on investment that everyone in this room has been able to accomplish, we have now been approved the final step of our tuition alignment with the rest of the state universities. And so this year we are pegged alongside all the other state universities. That has taken 11 long years, and we got there. And we got there because we demonstrated, everyone in this room demonstrated quality of education at an extraordinary affordable rate and made the case that we could do even more with our students if we were pegged at the same place. And that has been recognized, and I want to congratulate you and thank you. We also launched our Center for Middle Georgia Studies, and Dr. Christy Roberts-Lewis has joined us as our executive director, and that Center for Middle Georgia Studies, which has a physical location in our library here, is going to reach across the region and offer partnerships where we can contract with different agencies, with nonprofits, with businesses in helping them grow and using the talents of this university to help foster that partnership. And that's actually key to me in the world. We are a public university. That's what public means. We work with the public. We help serve the public. We engage with the public. We had amazing summer enrollment, 4,300 students, our highest ever. Kudos to our enrollment colleagues, to admissions, and to our faculty who put the programs on. 4,300. You didn't see a lot of them around our campuses. The majority are taking online classes, and that seems to be a natural development that will continue. And finally, next month, on September the 11th, we have our first ever university endowed lecture. The Jennings family has generously given a significant fund to allow us to have our first ever inaugural university lecture. And that will be on AI. And you have an invitation to come to it. And it will be, the speaker we have will be excellent. More on that in the coming days. So let's talk a little bit about what I said earlier, the vital signs. You're familiar with the medical term or the health term, vital signs. I have my blood work done this week, and I go and see my doctor next week, and I'll be told whether I'm healthy or need to be more, or some things that need to change. Well, that's what we can do with the university, and that's what we're going to focus on briefly. Let's have a look. I am thrilled to show you this. You've seen this chart, and for those of you that weren't here before, the purple has always been where we've been on this day, this Convocation Day. And then the gray on the top is where we finished at census. Census comes around typically early October. It's when the university system says, okay, we are now going to officially record your enrollment. And you'll see that we had some drops in enrollment, particularly the impact of the pandemic. Well, look at today. We're at 8,700 students. Our goal was 8,250. That is an amazing place to be. I need to put a word of caution in. There will be some that drop. We typically have some students who are dropped because they either don't turn up or they don't bring their tuition, and we can't let them under state law enroll in class and register if they haven't paid. So there will be a drop. But nonetheless, today allows us to go on enrolling for the rest of this month. We can still take students through the end of this month. So to everyone in the room, not just to our amazing enrollment management team, but to everyone in this room, the work you do in the next 3 weeks will boost that number. And I don't know where we'll end up. I'm like the rest of us. I don't have a crystal ball that tells the future, but I can say we are in an extraordinarily strong position. I want to thank Stephen, his team, Margot, and everyone that's played a hand in this. Let's give them a round of applause for that. I'm so thrilled we're back into the 90,000 for our credit hours. Credit hours are really important. They sound boring, and it is a boring term, but actually it has significance with it. Credit hours means that the state in about 12 to 18 months will decide how much we get in terms of appropriations from this number. This number drives future funding. So having a large number of students is wonderful, but if the credit hours are low, it's going to be harder in about 18 months. This is looking great. We're back in, if at the moment we're 9% up, again, it won't stay there. But this is a particular shout out for academic affairs, because what this means is our provost and the deans and his team are planning better than ever before. They're knowing the nuanced game of putting the right programs on in the right way, across the campuses, at certain times, getting the faculty lined up. That is a very, very sophisticated engineering task. This shows that you're winning at it. So keep fine-tuning that V8 5.3-liter engine that Charles wanted as a 17-year-old to be driving around in. That's a really, really impressive. So our enrollment is looking good, and all I would ask us to do is to realize that, like the athletes that Charles talked about, we haven't crossed the finish line. If this was a marathon in a year, 26.2 miles, we're at about mile 25. And really, there's one more mile to go. And we don't want to stop running as best we can to that finish line. When we look at, it's jumping around. Okay. I'm going back a bit. Did I jump through the fiscal slides? No, they must, they're coming afterwards. Okay, let's do that. Let's stick with enrollment then. At this moment, when we look at where we were 3 years ago with today, we have increased our retention from 54% for first-time, full-time, bachelor's-seeking students to 64%. That's more of that illustration about fine-tuning the engine. And it's about demonstrating what we said to the university system, that if you give us the funds, we can target student success, we can provide the advisors and the coaches and the support to keep them on track, and we know it produces results. And we've done an amazing job in IR and academic affairs of analyzing that and seeing where can we tweak this. Here's a really strong example. I mean, that kind of change is episodic, to use the geological term. It doesn't happen every 3 years. And it will be very harder to add another 10% in 3 years, but heck, you're up for a challenge, David. You go for that. You go for that. When we look at why, this next slide is related to. There. This doesn't mean our graduation is down by 7.6%. This doesn't mean that at all. What this slide means is that the time that students are taking to finish a bachelor's degree, and I know we offer certificates and associates and graduate degrees, but let's just take the real heavy-hitting bachelor's degree that we are very much in the public eye asked to do. When we look at that, we are now down 7.6% in terms of the time in the normal measured 6-year period that the Department of Education in Washington and all of their data say about a 6-year graduation rate. We are getting it done quicker than we have ever done it before. And that's not because education is quick and, come here, we want to get you through and out. It's because if there is persistence, they learn better. Our students will be more equipped. They will be in their careers. They will be engaged. They won't be dividing their lives into 5 or 6 major distractions or other responsibilities. This is good news. This is getting toward doing what we all would aspire, that a 4-year degree gets done in 4 years, knowing that many students it doesn't get accomplished in 4 years. And what this means is that in a 6-year period, we are now graduating 680 more students than we were 6 years ago. 680 more are finishing than otherwise. And that is extraordinary when you think of the impact in our communities, our businesses, our schools, our nonprofits, and our communities generally. It allows us to be a player in their lives and in the community. It also means, by the way, that lots more graduates going across the stage, and it also means that we need more students coming in. It's a faster flow from from input through output. It's a quicker funnel, and that's a good sign. When we look at that, you can see the increase that's been going on. Prior to the pandemic, we had some really good bachelor's rates. They're coming back up. Our associates, deliberately, we've been seeking to get students to take the baccalaureate degree rather than associates. We're not closing down associate's degrees, but where students are capable of a bachelor's degree, we want them to do that. So you can see these trends, and at the graduate level, to Loretta and her team that have helped pull together our graduate culture. This is great work. So Dr. Clayton, we're thrilled with what you've been doing. Keep going. You've got a new degree coming, the public safety, which I know was our provost's dream to have a public safety doctorate. So it's going to be a good year in terms of graduate education too. Let's look at how this translates to dollars. I don't want to live our life around the mighty dollar, but we would be naive not to at least give recognition that our financial condition will allow us to do so much more or not. And so while I'm not going to go into too much detail on these, there's a couple of things I'd like to show. If you look at the purple on the FY25, that is our budget for this year. And it's gone up because of the tuition increase. But it's still an amazingly affordable degree. This hasn't gone up that it's all purple column and it's all money from students. It's really not. It's a very affordable degree that basically sticker price for tuition and fees for most bachelor's degrees around $25,000. And I've been using that in the community and talking with donors, and they are still astounded that even at our new tuition rate, you can get a bachelor's degree at Middle Georgia for around $25,000, $26,000 sticker price, before any financial aid, before any scholarship, before any way in which they can have federal aid. And so that resonates in our culture, where higher education is so often seen as expensive and indulgent. It's not an indulgent price. You'll also see that our appropriations have been budgeted conservatively. Given the enrollment decline after the pandemic, we are still wanting to make sure that we're out of the woods with that. So Amanda and her team have budgeted conservatively for this year on state appropriations. They may end up more than that, but we don't know. And finally, the other bit, Well, you'll notice that's come down a lot over the last 3 years. That's because the COVID money that came from the federal government, it's called HERF money, H-E-R-R-F or H-E-I-F-F. Yeah, I always get my acronyms on. But the HERF money for COVID is dried up. That's gone. So that was a kind of emergency stimulus funding. We're back now, and the way that we do this is through auxiliaries or fundraising or contracts, other ways, grants that we might get. This is the other bit, and you can see it's a significant part of the economic life of Middle Georgia State. So I'm feeling strong about our budget. I think we're going to be in for a good year. I know that the Board of Regents next Wednesday, we'll be beginning budget preparations, and we will be rapidly part of that story, and that's for next year. So you can see we're in a cycle here, but I feel very, very proud that we will have a global budget of around $140 million. That's still for all the things we do across our campuses, the people, our students, our employees. That is still an amazing return to the public in terms of investment. Okay. How do we put that out? 51 of those dollars, $51 million goes directly into teaching itself. And that's one of the highest rates in the university system. We're talking about in the classroom teaching. And then there's other areas of academic, student services, facilities, and support. That takes up the other slight half of it, but what it is a way in which we can demonstrate that even in these other areas, those are for students. They're not like, oh, they're for us. The academic support is for students, and we are there to provide student services. So these other elements are not depleting the student experience. We're just saying that across the university system, we have one of the highest rates of direct instructional funding. When I look at vital signs a year ago, I said it's time to engage. It's time to take very seriously that the effect on our health as a nation, as a society, and individually on the pandemic isolation needs us to model something more personal. Being together, coming together, doing where there's an option face-to-face if it's doable, making sure we talk to people and not just send an email. This is a really powerful illustration of what Jennifer Brannon and her team have been focusing on for the last year, taking seriously that engagement and talking about, well, how can we engage with students around their curricular experience, but not in it? The faculty need to be in charge of the learning experience in the classroom or online, but then there's life that goes on. And these numbers are extraordinary. We have got students now having the availability and integrating with the curriculum, whether it be in housing or whether it be commuter students. We want them to feel that they are knights, that there's an identity of experience. And so I urge us to continue that. I know you will, and I also want us to continue to put that together with the academic program. So that, for example, in our residence facilities just across the way, in Cochrane and in Eastman, what they hear and learn in the classroom is augmented by what they experience back in their residence facility, that it works together. And one of the most powerful ways we're doing that, which when I think back to the last year, is our athletic program, and how that is an example of building an experience and a culture that enriches everybody, including us as employees. As we become NCAA, that's going to be a motivational feature of our lives. We've also have vital signs in new ways, in ways that are actually can occasionally be humorous. This is an example of the Houston Healthcare Nursing Facility down at in Oak Hall in Warner Robins, of us doing a ribbon cutting there. But we have got many, many organizations. Here's just a few of them that we're engaged with. I learned the other day that Dean David Beek is the chair of the board of Carlisle Place. What a brilliant way of taking his expertise and putting it at the service of a community organization that has the reputation of being one of the finest care homes, and more than that. I probably need you to educate me on the mission of Carlisle Place, David, but it's an example of expertise that the university has being able to change the environment in which we attract students. So just a few examples of community partnerships. I'm really proud of the work that Ember Bentley does as VP for External Affairs. I'm thrilled that Nancy White, our new VP of Advancement, is building great dialogue with our donors and with foundations and corporations. We are now being seen as a serious option for help and support and engagement in the community. And that's the public, another example of the public face of a public university. And then finally, it's pretty obvious to me we are coming out of some health-related concerns from the pandemic. There are heightened levels of depression and anxiety and stress, and still as a culture as a whole, and anger, and we see that. We even, unfortunately, see it in the leadership of our society. And you heard Charles say, there's a kind of war with misinformation. There's also a war with behavior that's going to be disruptive and divisive versus helping people know that they're engaged, connected, and healthy. And I'm so proud that both at the USG and here through Pam and the HR office and in student affairs, we have been taking very seriously the availability of resources to be healthy. Healthy physically, healthy mentally and emotionally, and encouraging each other and our students to be healthy. There's no point talking about vital signs using a health-related paradigm and not talking about this. So you'll be hearing more about how we must continue that trend and model it. Model it. It's the classic example of Schweitzer, that the example is everything. It allows people to see that this is the way forward, and we can model a healthy community. And so I congratulate those that are working on this, and you'll be hearing more about that vital sign in the year to come. So all of that allows us to be excellent and to have a strategy, because excellence is not, there was in a quote last year, it was excellence is going back again and again and again in a small and tiny way daily to pursue something. Well, that is a strategy. Strategy just isn't 5 years, strategy is today. What's our strategy to make this day a valuable one, a strong one, an empowering one, a healing one? So we have a plan that we published a year ago. For those of you who have joined us since last year, we have lots of copies, and I would love not only for you to find it online, but to make sure that you have a copy. So, come on now. There we go. Let's look at what we said last year we were going to focus on. We did it. We have established a first-year experience and seminar. We need to build on that. We did that primarily online, and I want us to make sure that we integrate that now into the residential experience that allows our first-year students to feel that connection, because that's the key to beginning. The first year is the moment that we're going to make it or break it with students staying. I'm very proud of what Dr. Donna Balding has been doing, heading up for the first time our Office of Research and Sponsored Projects. We've had 20 grant applications generated. My goodness, that's like every 2 weeks, a major grant going out. And we've had 8 successfully funded. 8. Middle Georgia didn't do that 5 years ago. Now we have 8 funded projects, and the headache, and it's a wonderful headache, will be managing those, directing them, sending back the data, the accountability, measuring, and all of that stuff. But it's a really strong story to be starting from. Our Emerging Nights program, which is focused on student success, that was launched this year, and you could see from the retention results some of the impact that has been going on with that program. And finally, and it's in italics because if you have your phone, you might be able to go in there and get a photo of that and open up. I'm proud to announce that our strategic enrollment plan is now published. And again, credit to enrollment management for leading the charge on that. And as of today, you will be able to go online, download it, see how we're going to focus on enrollment management. And I'm proud to be able to say that work of looking and figuring out the engineering of enrollment is essential for strategy. In the same way we did that with mapping academic programs, with places, people, and opportunities, you need to do that with enrollment, and you see where there are new markets. So, I don't know, has anyone actually tried it? Does it open up? It does? Oh, good. I saw more nods than shaking of the head then, so I'm kind of glad. It's always a bit risky when you're live and you say, okay, here's the link, and it doesn't work. Okay. I asked last year for us to make campus life the core of putting that a pluribus unum, out of many one, the bit that's the sort of founding American principle. I said the pluribus are our different campuses, so we need our faculty and students and staff to help define what is the experience on each campus. And some of the ways that we've done that have been facility-based. We've now got amazing pickleball courts, which are, in Cochrane, if you walk around Cochrane, those tennis courts were pretty horrible, let's be honest about it. Well, due to the perseverance of Jennifer, the attention of David Sims and others, we've been able to build an amazing set of pickleball courts. By the way, for those of us a certain age, I'm told by my friends at Ortho Georgia that 1 in 3 sports injuries is pickleball related. And I've been one of those. I've experienced that. Like, I didn't know it could be so dangerous a sport. And now, actually, the interesting thing is that the mayor of Dublin, Mr. Joshua Kite, has kindly agreed to a grant for us to do that in Dublin. We're putting in pickleball courts at the back of Dublin. And the idea is, yes, for our students, but for the community too. So it's all going to be, I hope the residents around there don't mind the sound of, because it's really noisy. Apparently there's big lawsuits going on in Chicago right now where these really expensive houses have been by what used to be tennis courts, and now they're all pickleball, and they're driving the residents crazy with the sound of a pickleball. So I hope the residents around Dublin won't mind. This is just an example. You would have seen the amazing work that's gone on in putting up, and it's going to continue, putting up Middle Georgia signage around our campuses, strengthening our identity, putting up even something as simple as effective as what Kevin has done with the banners along Ivy Drive here, saying Middle Georgia State. They're just strong. And across the way, we're having all this renovation done of housing. That's not just about physical space, it's about experience for students. It's about, that's what campus strength means. But you can't do it when you have derelict housing or tennis courts that have got potholes in them. You need to invest, and we've been doing some amazing jobs on our campuses. I won't get them all right. I mean, we've got opening this afternoon, the EDA grant. We had a significant EDA grant, and Macon Bib have given funding for a new concession and changing rooms for the Georgia Premier cross-country track, which is the best cross-country track, and it's ours, and public want to use it as well as our amazing athletes. We've got money for that. This is Warner Robins, and we're in discussion at the moment just with having some base personnel move in and renovate some of that space. That has not been finalized, so I will say things on this stage that do not mean that we've got to the end of the story. But nonetheless, it's an example of building campus strength. In Eastman, I know our Dean Aidan Clark is here, and he is overseeing not only an amazing aviation program, but now the future expansion of $20 million in new hangars so that those equipment that we have, planes and the like, can be part of a larger campus footprint. That's not just about hangars. That's about students learning to fly and maintain and manage airports. So this is why campus strength has been so essential. It's a strategy, and we're going to go on pushing it. And I don't mind, I go back to Warner Robins, actually. I missed a point here. Let me go back to that, because this is, you can see I'm not reading a script. So I have to say, several of us had a meeting with the Chancellor and members of the public where we were informed that our work in Warner Robins needed to be more visible and public. Now, the Chancellor's very pleased with the university and with all the other things, but they want us to focus on Warner Robins. One of my goals, I've got 3 goals that I've shared with the Chancellor for this year. One of them is Warner Robins. Now, does that mean that it'll just be one kind of person, student at Warner Robins? No. I mentioned Robins Air Force Base. I mentioned the fact that we've already, through continuing ed, Stephen's managed to bring a large number of folks from Robins Air Force Base into our continuing ed program. So there are different ways in which we can engage with the community in Warner Robins and Houston County. But I do want to say, if your work brings you to Warner Robins, if you're based in Warner Robins, if you think that Warner Robins is a place where you can do more work, I need to hear from you. Because this is a strategy for Middle Georgia for the next few years. We're doing great things on our different campuses. We got the strategy for Dublin. It still needs further work, but we know Dublin is health-related. Community loves that. Loves the fact that Dublin is going to be a health-focused campus, but we need to do this with Warner Robins. Did I make that strongly enough? Yeah, okay. Amanda's nodding. Yeah, we get the message. We get the message now, Chris. Okay, so that's about our accountability to ourselves and our local community. Then there's something happening as of now which excites me. Some people it bores them. Other people it's like, oh, what a slog. But I am on the national board for this, so I'm excited. We now have SACS COC coming, reaffirmation of accreditation. And I'm on that board. In fact, I'm a bit alarmed. I'm the only USG president on the SACS board, which means the Chancellor comes to me when he wants to find out about SACS. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, I'm delighted. We said goodbye to our dear, dear colleague, Dr. Kevin Campwell, at the end of the spring semester. And Kevin has retired, and in his 36 years, helped transform what was then Macon State here and Middle Georgia State, and he did an outstanding job as being our SACS liaison. We now welcome Dr. Monica Beloga, who has replaced him, comes to us, and she has experience, and she's going to absolutely keep moving as well and effectively as Kevin did. So Monica, welcome. Your arrival couldn't be better. We have now begun the process of preparing for SACS. In 2 years, we will be formally evaluated, and by the way, as board member, I'm not allowed to listen, hear, participate in any Georgia institution, public or private. As soon as the state of Georgia comes up, I'm out the room. But I know what goes on in the room, because I do it with as several of us are in the room are. We're on on-site committees and off-site committees, and I see the evaluation reports, and then we have to vote on them. This is important work. The reason it's important, the reason I like it, is it actually makes institutions be better. Now, I would hope that intrinsic motivation in life is enough, but I did have and raise kids once, and sometimes extrinsic motivation works too. It's a bit of both. SACS is saying, you want to be accredited, and by the way, you need to be accredited for any federal financial aid, but if you want accreditation every 10 years, a major exercise occurs. 3 years ago, you have to do a mid 10-year report, 5th-year report, and it's a very hefty report. And credit to Kevin and Chris and others on the team that did that. We had a slam dunk. We got no bad points. called recommendations. A recommendation normally sounds a good thing. In SACS language, it's a very bad thing. You don't want a recommendation. We got none. And by the way, 10 years ago, I now learned, and Kevin, it was his almost final, I had breakfast with him, and he said, you do remember 10 years ago we had recommendations. I completely forgotten it. We don't want any. And this timeline you can see here means that in 1 year we will be submitting a ton of information, to SACS. And so for the next year, Monica and her colleagues will be working, and we will all have a role in different teams of helping get the data, get the writing, making it work. I also will say this, I say this every time, but I have somebody I know well who uses AI, not at Middle Georgia State. There is no SACS limitation on using AI to help organize. What you can't do is have AI take personal, individual information with names on it. You can't do that. But if you've got anonymous aggregated data, you can ask AI, what do you think of this? And there's no that's the word, prohibition. I'm always encouraging. We're going to listen to an AI lecture and evening talk next month. So I'm intrigued to see how that takes shape. Now, while that's going on, that was I didn't mean to go on too much about SACS, but you can tell I like it. Which a lot of people think that is a weird attribute. We also have this going on. And I want to give a shout out to Drs. Rob McRae and Renat Kapp-Mullin, who are heading up our SACS QEP, Quality Enhancement Plan. Now, what that is we're meant to be working on a major theme across the whole institution, across the institution. And we have narrowed down through great work they did with town hall meetings, with engagement, with talking. They've narrowed it down to 3 areas that they think there is campus buy-in around: student engagement, career readiness, and financial literacy. Now, every single one of those is vitally important. But what we're going to do is have the employees surveyed on this and kind of offer your final thoughts that will then be distilled into a decision. And so there we have another, what are those things called? I forget. Thank you. Do that, and you can, is it up and live? Is this running? This is running. Great. Thanks, Chris. Chris Waller says it's up and running. So if you want to, you can start the survey. No, Charles Richard said put your phone away. He did say that. And I got on a plane recently, and they said, now we're about to take off, so would you put your electronic overlord away? I thought that was a good, appropriate metaphor. But this is something that we want to hear back from everybody about the QEP and what it should be. And so I really applaud Renat and Rod for what they've been doing with that. So this is actually the final part. We're getting to the end, you'll be glad. This is the investment in the future I'm talking about. Strategy is not just plans. It's about putting some passion and time and, yes, even resources into the future. And there's 2 ways that I'm going to ask us to think about how we've done that. We can see here we're investing in some exciting new experiences, new degrees, new athletic programs, new ways of understanding our second decade as a university. Let's think about what that might mean. Let's start with the classic ways that happens. Since we finished 2.5 years ago, our Greatness campaign, first in our history, we have raised the same amount of money as in 7 years before that. We have raised over $11 million through the hard work of our development team and the efforts to have our faculty and staff in the campaign to help bring resources. We've already raised, and this total can be added to a future campaign. It's an extraordinary story that it took 7 years to get to that, and it's taken 2.5 years to get exactly the same. So I'm optimistic about what the next 3 or 4 years might look like in terms of major fundraising. We've had nearly 6,000 gifts and over 2,000 donors. I invite everyone in this room to participate in the faculty staff campaign by simply saying on the pledge form, you're willing to make a gift, no matter how small. And I stress this, I really stress this. I know that Nancy and her colleagues are probably asking me to make it really high, but I'm saying this, it's participation. Folks, it's participating. Even if you say, well, I'm going to give very low, I won't say a number because they will be grimacing if I say it. But even if it's a really very, very modest number, I know you have commitments, I know there are other things that you need your hard-earned resources to be invested in, but invest in Middle Georgia. It makes our jobs that much easier asking for folks on the outside to support. And so we are about to do one. There were two QR codes up there. There's not a QR code, but there will be. There will be next week a survey sent out to you because Nancy and her team have worked on identifying what do you think we need to focus our efforts on in fundraising. How could our work with our students be stronger if there were resources? How could equipment be that much more powerfully impactful? How could we provide for experiences that otherwise they wouldn't have? And I speak personally, and I don't speak arrogantly, but I have endowed a scholarship for study abroad, the only one. And believe me, you're bright people. You know why I believe in study abroad. Because the good Lord gave me the chance in life to live and work in 2 continents, in 2 countries, and I learned more that way. There are ways that by being committed to finding a capital campaign that as we go forward, that we can help our students and each other do our work better. And you will be asked next week to help shape that campaign. We will then take that to the foundation board to get approval and study what we can do. But that's part of what investing for the future. When I say it's beyond greatness, it's because the last campaign was called the Greatness Campaign. We're going beyond it. We don't yet know what we'll call it, but we know it's beyond the last campaign. There's another way of investing for the future, and that is that, and this is that we have embraced the idea we are the knights. And I want to think just about that idea of being a knight. Because that's not about money or choosing a program or making a gift. It's about living in a certain way as a member of the Middle Georgia State University family. It's about seeing certain things. And we are the knights, so what? Now that's a heraldic idea from centuries ago. So I thought, well, how does that make sense for us? So first of all, I went back exactly 10 years ago, not to today. Actually, it was. No, it was October, so 10 years ago. And there was a ceremony, and that's a picture of it, when the late Chancellor Hank Huckabee invested me as the president in October 2014. And the theme, which wonderful Albert Abrams, our former chief of staff, our late chief of staff, Albert and I talked about, well, what do we want to call it? And we gave it this title 10 years ago, United Possibilities, Mind, Heart, and Community. And I thought, actually, that's almost a prescient in terms of what these figures in the Middle Ages were all about. They first of all were part of a group. They all have different heraldic traditions. If you ever go around Windsor Castle, which I do recommend, I think it's even better than Buckingham Palace. Go around Windsor Castle, you see all the knights, the different schools that they all came from. And they were united around a theme that they believed certain things, they were passionate about certain things, and they were only dedicated to serving the community. They took a loyalty oath that was what they were going to do. So I thought, well, actually, we've never used this in branding since that investiture, but it's actually what we've been doing. It's what Charles talked about earlier. It's why we're here today and why we will be working with 8,400 students, maybe more, next week, Today, as a state university, be a Knight. Think about the possibilities of how our work and our impact can be that much more strongly if we connect our mind, our heart, and our community. It presents new possibilities. It also presents them for the future. And one of the questions I would like to ask you is, if I've just charted a decade and said 10 years ago in this room, this story of a new university began, what do you think you would like us to achieve in the next 10 years? And I know many of us will not be here on this stage in 10 years' time. I'm aware of that. But isn't that the legacy of education? Isn't that the flame, the torch that you hand on, that we saw in the Paris Olympics, that they bring the torch down and they hand it from one to another to another? Isn't that what we do? So I would like to press the question. Think about what the next 10 years. We've got a strategic plan. It's great. But it doesn't quite flesh out what the being a Knight and being a community of Knights looks like. And on my wall, I have this brass rubbing. And I don't know if you're familiar with the brass rubbing, but they are very old graves in old English churches or old European. And you get wax paper, you get paper and you get different wax crowns, and you can create. And this is Sir Robert de Barres. Now, I could go on and do a history lecture now, but I won't. But it does tell you that this is French because of the Norman conquest in 1066. You then had 300 years of the Plantagenets before the Tudors came along. He's a Plantagenet knight. It's full of symbolism. I won't go through it, don't worry, but there's the lion. He's stepping on the lion. It means that he's a noble lion. In the Old Testament, the book of Psalms, the lion is evil and wicked. He defeated the lion. So that's a clue. He's got his belt in a certain way. The shield tells you which community he belonged to. There's clues in this. Now, of course, probably his friends and family buried him. There's clues here that he was a good knight, decent man, worked hard, and in 1307 was buried in the church in Acton, Suffolk, and you can go and see it. Now, so I looked up the de Barres family. He was born poor. He did not come from a knightly family. He was a yeoman. He worked in agriculture, and he made his way up to lead a division at the second siege, in the Second Crusade, the siege of Jerusalem. He's a knight who fought in the Crusades, the Second Crusade, with Richard the Lionheart. You've probably heard that name. So Sir Robert de Barres had an interesting life, and his family went on for another 400 years traceable until they commingled and the name changed. But what one life that ended 720 years ago tells us you can still commit to some human truths and building decency and good things through your work, through your life, and you can hand it on. Because I bet you he didn't realize that in 720 years anyone would be talking about him. And I don't know what we'll do in 10 years, but I know it's important that we think about it and we work for it. Because, in a sense, a knight has courage, and Churchill once said, courage is rightly esteemed the first of human qualities, because it is the quality which guarantees all others. Now, there are days that I don't have courage. There's probably some day in which I might have it on one thing and not on another. It's very normal to not always be at our best. It's very normal to not perform at the highest. But if we're honest with ourselves, and that does take courage, we can look and think, I can do this better, I can improve it, and I can take the risk. Because it is scary. It doesn't. Our students who arrive next week have courage. Many of them are scared. They're anxious. And if they are, it's the most normal thing in the world. They're anxious. They don't know they can do it. That's the same for us. It's the same throughout our lives. But it's a great reminder of why we're the knights. Because it doesn't mean that you're not anxious or not tired or don't get fed up or don't make mistakes or don't upset people, but it means have the courage to keep imagining doing it better. And that's what clearly Sir Robert did. And so I would like to leave with a question, which I posed to myself: what will I do as a knight What will you do as a Knight? We are the Knights. Go Knights!
As a knight, I'm becoming a master of my craft.
Learning the power of collaboration.
Being a knight has given me the skills to make my dreams into reality.
With the tools to succeed, I now have the knowledge and confidence.
To reach new heights.
I started as a follower, and now I'm becoming a leader. Being a knight
It is just the beginning of my journey. What will you do as a knight?
Well, seeing as how this is an Olympic ceremony, every Olympics has awards ceremonies. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back with Pamela Booker and our service awards. So stand up, relax, move your feet around, get some fresh air.
from our break. Come on, back to your chairs at this time. One more next slide. That's good.
Good morning. Good morning. We are ready to celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. So can we all take our seats, please? Truly, it is an honor and a pleasure to be able to stand before you to recognize our staff and faculty members who have reached service milestones. We want to extend a thank you to each of them as we start this celebration. The individuals that we'll be recognizing today have reached a milestone between September 1st of 2023 and August 31st of 2024. We will be recognizing 84 individuals, employees, 84. We're so excited about this. So we're going to go on and get started. I'm not going to belabor the time. We're going to start by recognizing our 5-year recipients, and we're just going to ask them that as I call their names, if they will just stand, and then once we complete each 5-year segment, we'll give them a rounding applause. So we're going to start off with Timothy Baggett, Ember Bentley, Connie Chung, remain standing, Jeremy Edmond, Ebony Fraser, Rebecca Gee, Nancy Geis, Tammy Hayslip, and that's fine, you can do that. Joshua Harrelson, Victoria Harriet, Sierra Highsmith, Abigail Ladesma, Byung Lee, Wayne Lockwood, Jessica McCollan, Maxine Mitchell, Ethan Money, John Murphy, Neil Obanoff, Stacy O'Neill, Krista Pike, Sonia Rivers, Dylan Rowland, David Otto Schwach, Sierra Stevenson, Alicia Tribble, Ashley Vinson, and Diana Walker Ivy. Can we celebrate that? Thank you for your 5 years of service. Thank you. Celebrating 10 years, Rhonda Amerson, Chris Blake, Patsy Butts, Paul Donnell, Rebecca Edwards, Holly Geiger, Lisa George, Roger Hasty, Melva Jones, Devereaux Lindsay, Cliff Moncrief, Matthew Noble, Wesley Sewell, Patricia Smith, Jeffrey Tarver, Ashley Turner, Yolanda Traylor, Juwan Wong. Thank you for your 10 years of service. Okay, 15 years. Deepa Arora, James Atkinson, Charlotte Baker, Jermaine Jackson, Kelly Jones, David Kang, Jan Mims, Estelle Knuckles, Randy Steinman, Pushpa Yadav. Thank you for your 15 years. We're climbing. We are climbing. 20 years. Charlie Agnew, Donna Balding, Sean Bohannon, Emily Callis, Sharon Coley, Paul Johnson, Stephanie Lamp, Victoria Lanier, Dusty Lowry, Del Mullis, Anthony Narsing, Kimberly Pickens, Doug Smalley, Edwin Wallace, Mary Wern. Thank you for your, thank you, thank you. Now, 25 years, Laura Gay and John Trimboli. So as we turn to recognizing our 30 years and our 35 years, we're going to ask that as we call your names, that if you'll just come forward, and we're going to actually have a photo opportunity right now, because 30 years. Teresa Lorick. "35 years. Tammy Cootie. "35 years. Dawn Knight. "35 years. Starla Sanford. And please just remain standing as we just celebrate all of our recipients of our service awards. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for everything that you've done for the university. Thank you. So please welcome to the stage our Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. David Jinks, to present our faculty awards.
And I didn't think he'd do it. Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day to celebrate the accomplishments of the Middle Georgia State University faculty. We have a number of awards for outstanding demonstrations of excellence in the areas of teaching, research, community and culture, and service. The recipients have been nominated and selected by their peers for this award, so it's not something we just randomly choose, in the hallowed halls of the administration building up on the hill here in Macon. This is actually, you have earned the respect and the admiration of your colleagues, which is not always an easy thing to do in academic affairs. So as a faculty member, we have several awards this morning. The first, for excellence, and when I call your name, please just stand and you can remain standing. We do a whole academic affairs honoring of faculty for promotion, for tenure, for faculty awards, for scholarship. In the spring, it takes about an hour, hour and a half. I was trying to get that into this morning, but they said shorten it up and just go over the few. So that's what we're going to do here today. So for excellence in full-time teaching, Professor Edwin Wallace. For excellence in part-time teaching, Miss Rosalind Davis. For excellence in scholarship, Dr. Monica Miller. For excellence in service, Dr. Gary Cole. For excellence in community and culture, Dr. Yunsuk Che. For the inaugural Provost Award, Dr. Lorraine Dubuisson. And we had two other notable awards this year that I wanted to point out at Convocation. For the first time in Middle Georgia State University history, we have a Regents Award winner. So for the Regents Felton Jenkins Jr. Hall of Fame Faculty Award, Dr. Sabrina Winger. Sabrina became MGA's first winner of a Regents Teaching Excellence Award. She was selected for the most prestigious individual faculty award in the University System of Georgia out of all nominees from the 9 institutions in the state university sector. So congratulations, Sabrina. And we also had, for the first time in Middle Georgia State University history, a 2024 Galileo Ambassador Award. And the librarians are having fun. Her colleagues have long called her a rock star and a lifesaver, and one nominating letter stated, "She empowers students to continue to build on their knowledge and skills, no matter their starting point, and in spirit of robust and rewarding lifelong learning." Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 2024 Galileo Ambassador Award, Dana Casper. And next up, I would like to welcome to the stage the Fiend of Finance, our VP, Amanda Funches.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling, patent pocket.
The money is thanks to enrollment and our third year of the tuition increase. So, the Staff Council of Middle Georgia State University is proud each year to recognize 3 outstanding staff members with our annual staff awards. And today, Dana Casper, Chair of the MGA Staff Council, is going to assist me in the presentation of these awards. MGA's staff serves our campus communities with a dedication to excellence that goes above and beyond, providing exceptional service to our students and their families, faculty members, community members, and to one another. The staff members presented with these awards each year have excelled in the performance of their duties and their attention to the university's core values of stewardship, engagement, adaptability, and learning. Our first award is the Champion Award. This is for a staff member who has exemplified those core values. The nomination letter said, "This past year, When several positions in her department were vacant, including 2 leadership positions, this staff member stepped in without being prompted. She continued on with her own duties and exceeded her goals due to her work ethic and commitment. But she didn't stop there. She carried out the work of another area in her department. She kept the momentum going for the 2024 Knights Golf Tournament. She engaged by producing monthly alumni newsletters and did 100% of the 2024 Alumni Week planning, as well as managing the social media accounts. In addition to picking up those responsibilities, she served on various search committees, the NCAA Division II Transition Team, the Graduate Planning Committee, and the Staff Council Wellness Committee. She balanced these multiple roles and responsibilities, reflecting her adaptability and engagement with the MGA family. She is cheerful, an authentic team player, focused and skilled. She is truly an MGA champion, and this year's Champion Award goes to Barbara Gibbons. Our next award is the Unsung Hero Award for a staff member who works behind the scenes and yet continues to go above and beyond the call of duty to improve the Middle Georgia State experience for students, coworkers, faculty, and staff. Since her initial hiring, she's been involved in serving students in learning support classes. She comes up with solutions to major issues with great ease and supports everyone else who may be involved in capacity with the issue at hand. She has gone over and beyond in helping advisors across the institution to manage their students correctly and is always willing to help them with their students. She carries out several functions behind the scenes to make difficult processes, we all know about those, run smoothly and efficiently, and has developed great working relationships with several divisions across campus. The support and cooperation she has provided to faculty and staff across the institution is remarkable and probably unmatched. In the past couple of years, she has also taken on the responsibility to plan and execute the Peer Mentoring Project. She has organized multiple events across all the campuses to engage students with the institution and other support resources at Middle Georgia State. Her ability to communicate and work with students is amazing, which has led to a doubling of the number of students impacted with this project with outstanding results. She's a worker bee who quietly performs her duties behind the scenes and never complains about any additional work. She's an incredible team player who works well with all stakeholders, whether it be faculty, staff, or students. This year's Unsung Hero Award goes to Denise Bosley. Our final award is the Service Excellence Award. This is for a staff member who has made exceptional contributions exceeding normal expectations to deliver superior service to members of the campus community and the community at large. This staff member continually demonstrates a commitment to excellence and plays a pivotal role in promoting a collaborative and student-centered approach to advising. Her dedication to fostering collaboration across departments is evident in her efforts to increase advisor visibility through outreach, campaigns, and events. You'll often see her advising staff reaching out with others, whether it's financial aid, faculty, and others. She has exceptional customer service skills and an unwavering commitment to student success. She sets a high standard for professionalism and engagement within advising. She maintains a student-centered approach and inspires a like-minded attitude for those whom she leads. She works hard to determine how to maximize students' academic and personal success throughout their advising experience, and through her encouragement, the advising team is consistently proactive and engaging with students. She weathers the storm, and with compassion, she works hard to find compromise during challenging situations. Her motto is, "We got this," and at Middle Georgia State, we're glad we've got her. This year's Service Excellence Award winner is Sandy Littleherring. Thank you all so much for everything that y'all do every day to make Middle Georgia State a great place to work.
Well, what do you do after the Olympic ceremonies awarding the medals? Chant generally goes out, USA, USA, USA. Well, we just had our award ceremonies, so it's MGA, 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 MGA. That's it. Well, that's it for this morning, but there's still plenty of stuff coming up. As a matter of fact, you've got lunch, which is probably number one on your list. And I'd like to thank you all for coming this morning. It's been a great Convocation or Olympic opening ceremonies. Please see your screens for your departmental meetings, and I hope each and every one of you have an excellent academic year.